Well, hello, hello, hello. Good morning from China and Happy New Year. If we haven't seen each other since last year, welcome back. Happy New Year. I hope you had a great Christmas time, great holidays. If you haven't celebrated Christmas, and now we're in 2026. Time is flying when you're having fun. So today, I thought let's talk about the mind-body connection, because last week in my one-on-one sessions, the same theme seemed to appear, and that was the mind-body connection. And I want to talk to you about two particular themes, but in the end, it's all the same. And in the Back to Me online program that you can check out over here when you scan that code, I have the 3R process. The first one is recognize. The second one is reconnect and then rebuild. And first R is we recognize our patterns without shame, without blame, without judgment. The second part is to reconnect to who you have become now with all this knowledge, with all this recognition. And part of it is also reconnecting with your body. Because our society has learned that it's a good thing and that it's handy and practical to think away how we feel. And when I say about how we feel, I talk our body feelings, our emotions, not the feelings that are the interpretation of what does the body do and coming up our thoughts, our fears, our beliefs, our experiences, etc., and then calling it being sad, being overwhelmed. That's a feeling, that's an interpretation. I'm talking about the emotion that happens in your body. And some of my clients, highly intelligent people, very productive, it seems from the outside they have their shit together in life. But when it comes to, when I ask them, how do you feel in your body? So what does your body tell you when you think about this has happened or this is coming up? What does your body tell you? Nothing. That's a very, very common answer. Nothing. Or I don't know. And I tell them, saying that's automatically building up a wall. Like, no, I'm not ready to see that. I'm not ready to go into it. I push it away. And then we go, say, okay, let's just give it a go. Sit there and go through your body. Notice what's happening. And sometimes nothing is happening, but that's okay. Sometimes we believe there has to be a big bang, something very big. But here's the thing, when something big and bad is happening, you recognize that, you realize it. When I talk to my clients, I say, yeah, I have a headache. That is a strong indicator, that's a strong emotion, and it's negative. So we become aware of it. But the subtle, negative, positive, however we want to put it in, we don't recognize, we don't notice. Now these emotions, these subtle ones, they can be very quick, so that you don't, did something happen? And it can also be that you're so programmed by your logic, your brain interfering and saying, there's nothing there, I don't know, shut it down. We already built the wall, now let's move on to something else. Let's logically explain this away. And that is the disconnection between your mind and your body. And what we want to achieve is to become aware of these subtle emotions. And we also want to be okay with when emotions, as negative as they might feel in your body, or as negative as you might interpret them, that we sit with it. The only way forward is through. Not the first one to say this, it's not new big science. We know this. Pushing our emotions away. And I'm not talking about the labels that we give them when we say I'm overwhelmed. That's a different part. But pushing these body feelings, these emotions away, what they do, I like to imagine there is this little guy, and then he runs away. So my emotion at pushing it away, this little guy runs away, is behind me, and while he's coming back, he's building up more and more muscles, and he gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And then the next trigger comes, and then that emotion is just hitting harder. And every time I try to push it away, does the same thing, goes behind my back, is building up more muscles, more strength, and comes back even harder, hitting me in the face. Of course, you can do that. It's your choice. I'm not saying don't do that, but you want to remember that when you do that, when you tell yourself, when your mind kicks in and says, no, not now, not now, not now, don't want this, go away. What you also do is, apart from pushing your emotions away and they build and grow, you disconnect and you fight an inner war with yourself, because you want to be without these strong emotions, without these strong negative emotions, but you're fighting against yourself by pushing them away. And that's why they have the chance to grow. That's why they have the chance to build and build and build and hit you harder and harder and harder and come up in even more situations, more triggers. And what you do is, you know this, you can't fight a war with yourself and hoping for a positive outcome. Only by stopping the war with yourself, in this case by sitting with your emotion, by letting your emotion be and going through it, just experiencing it, you stop the inner fight. And with that, you release the strength of the trigger. For some, it sounds very paradox. How can that happen? How can it be so simple? But it is that simple. And that what builds on your body-mind connection, on your mind-body connection. Yeah, they go both ways. When you tell yourself, no, stop. I'm sitting with this now. And you only need to sit with it 30 seconds, a minute. And it's very uncomfortable. I had clients sitting opposite me crying in these 30 seconds because it was so uncomfortable. You could see how they're fidgeting, how they want to get away. The whole body was moving like, oh, I don't want this. I want to get away. But they did it. They stayed. And then they say, wow, it's not that strong anymore. Sometimes it goes away completely. Other times it just gets quieter, a little bit less. And that's okay. Both is okay. But the more you do it, the less strength that emotion has over you. And we know that we act on our feelings. So when we have that emotion and we don't want to have it, and then our brain kicks in and does an interpretation of, I feel overwhelmed, I don't want to be here. You get all these thoughts and you feel like, get me away. You act on it. That's where your action comes in. We can also say, okay, I've done this. I'm here at the action point. Let's go back and just sit with it. And it will feel calmer in one way or another, in a big step, big loop, or in just a small one. And the other situation I had is, I have this client and they have been coming for over a year now. And he came in and he said, Anna, for the first time since my illness, he's been ill for the last 6 years. And it's been dragging along and he didn't see improvement physically and mentally, but particularly physically. He was focused on the physical, that his body couldn't perform the way it used to. in the past. And he came and he said, Anna, what I realized in this Christmas holiday, during this Christmas holiday, doing these activities, I was climbing a mountain and I didn't need a nap. I felt okay. I was playing with my son and I felt okay. Nothing was hurting. I was in the gym with my wife and I could lift all these weights. I haven't done that for 6 years because I was always in pain. And they asked him, so what changed? So what do you think has changed in the last year? And he said, well, I've done the physio, I've done my exercises. And I said, so did you do them before? He said, yeah, I've done the physio before, I've done the exercise, so I just continued doing them. And I said, anything else? And he said, well, what I realized is that I haven't shamed my body. I said, interesting. What do you mean? So he explained it. And what he discovered is that before we started working together, he shamed his body. He blamed his body for not being that strong mechanism, that strong machine that it had been before the illness. Because now he needed naps, now he needed time by himself, now he couldn't do the exercise, he couldn't do these team sports, and he was blaming his body and he was shaming his body and he just put his body under that pressure. So why don't you do what you're supposed to do? And every improvement was like, well, finally. And what this behavior does, when your mind is telling your body, is shaming your body, blaming your body constantly, your body feels under pressure. It's like when you have a boss and he constantly tells you how messed up you are, how many mistakes you constantly do, making even more mistakes. And that's what his body did. It didn't get the peace and quiet to recover. So when we started working together to realize the patterns and then reconnecting, what he started to do is let his body be. The shaming, the blaming, the judgment became less and less and less. And he just did, without overthinking it, without naming it, without giving it meaning in a negative way. That, okay, today I've just, lifted 10 kg, even though I lifted 20 the other day. So today, that's what it is today. Acceptance. We're coming back to acceptance. Today, this is what is. No shame, no blame, no judgment. And by doing that, he stopped the inner war. Again, different scenario, whole different spectrum than the first story. But again, we come to that inner war with ourselves. And he said, let's stop it. Probably didn't even do that consciously, but he just stopped fighting against himself. And by doing that, his body had the time, the calm, the peace, the quiet to do its magic, to recover, to grow strength, to heal. And then when he expected it least and just did, without thinking that I can't do this, what will happen if I do this? Do I have time for a nap later? No overthinking whatsoever, no analyzing, just doing and being amazed at how far his body has come without his mindful interfering. And that is the beauty. Often we believe, it's been now mainstream, that we need to be in a positive mindset. But that's not the case. You don't need to be in a positive mindset. The goal is neutral. Because when you try to be in a positive mindset, it's pressure again. You're fighting against yourself and again. Because you're probably shaming, blaming, and judging yourself when you are not. When you shout at the stranger because you're in that mood. It's not positive, is it? Oh, why did I do that? Oh, I will do it better next time. Yeah. You create a new fight, a new war with yourself. By just saying, nah, wasn't my best behavior. I've done this. That's what it is. Maybe you apologize, maybe you don't, whatever. But you keep it neutral. Neutral is the new positive. Let's put it that way. Because neutral is quiet, is calm. And from neutral, we can go into the positive, we can go into the negative. And we do both without shame, without blame, and without judgment. And when you let your body do, when you sit with your body, like in the first example, when your body tells you something that this is overload, you say, okay, I hear you. Let me be there with you. And let's go through this together. You are neutral. You're not telling your body, oh, why do you do that? Pushing it away. And you're not saying, oh, how amazing, you're getting all of this strong emotions. No, you're saying, I'm here with you. I sit with you, I walk with you through this, and we come out together. And that's the beauty of a regulated mind-body connection. To acknowledge your body, to let it, like Mel Robbins said, let your body do, because it's created to heal. So try to find that neutrality in your connection, so that there is no pressure, so that you don't have to go to war with yourself, that you just be there, neutral. You don't need to be sympathetic or you show compassion. You can do that, but make sure that it's without pressure. I like to tell my body, you woke up this morning, amazing. But if I don't judge myself. That's the neutrality. When it happens, it happens. We accept it and we don't judge it. So what I want you to do is recognize where are you in this mind, body, mind connection. How much are you allowing your body to be, and how much are you taking away from your body to be? And where do you want to go with it? What do you want to do with it? What's the connection you want to build with your body? And if you want my help, I'm here. You can find me, watch this video, get to my website, come and join me at the Back to Me program over here. And we build that connection. We reconnect to then rebuild the relationship with yourself and your partner. And that's it from my side for today. I see you again next week with another interesting topic. Take care, bye-bye, and have a wonderful day wherever you are.